If you've been struggling with cheap toms on your starter kit, just can't seem to get them to sound good, this might be the video that you need to see. So I just want to start out first of all by saying this video is sponsored by me and my tuning tutorials. If you haven't seen my tuning playlist, make sure you go check that out, especially the tom one. You would be surprised at just how easy it is to tune these things. But today we're talking about cheap toms in particular. Talking about the toms that came on your starter kit that you paid under 400 bucks for. And the most common problem that you run into when you go to tune these things. Now, everyone has run into this at one point or another. Take the tom off the kit, tune it up, you get it to sound anywhere between decent and fantastic. And then what happens? You put it back on the kit and it sounds like hot butt juice. So after a few choice curse words, you're sitting there, you're trying to figure out what went wrong. This thing sounded awesome just 2 seconds ago, and now it sounds like crap. I'm gonna tell you exactly why that happens and 2 things that you can do to fix it. So the reason why your tom doesn't sound as good on the kit as it did when you were tapping it in your hand is actually quite simple. In order for a tom to sound its best, it needs to be able to resonate and vibrate freely and with as little obstruction as possible. So when you're holding it in your hand and tapping it with the stick and it's sounding great, the only 2 points of contact are your fingers. So it's literally floating in midair. It's gonna sound awesome. As soon as you put it back on the mount, now the mount is gonna be penetrating the shell and it's gonna seriously impede its ability to resonate. So if I take this mount now and stick it on there, come on now, there you go. So it's on the mount. Now look, can you see that inside there? That's a problem. This is what's keeping your tom from sounding awesome. So there's a couple of fixes that you can do to solve this. The first one is actually quite simple. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the mount and try this. I'm gonna take this mount and I'm gonna move it out as far as it can go. See that in there? I'm gonna take that out, take the mount and move it out as far as it can possibly go, and then tighten it down. Okay? You wanna take it to the point where it's just about to fall off, and then back it up a little bit and then tighten it down. What you're trying to do is create the most space between the shell and the mount as possible. So by moving the tom all the way out to the end of the mount, you're almost kind of creating your own little sort of suspension type of mount. And the tom is just going to be able to vibrate a little more freely than it was before. This is a really common fix, and like I said, it normally works like 95% of the time. Now a second fix that you can try to get your tom to sound a little bit better, it's going to change your setup a little bit, but you might end up digging it. But you're gonna go out and get yourself a clamp. Now it can be an adjustable clamp like this, or just a regular straight clamp will do just fine. But all you're gonna do is you're gonna stick one end of the clamp on the stand like this. Get that tightened down. And then on the other end, stick your tom arm on it like that, tighten that down, and now you can mount your tom off of your cymbal stand. Now what this does is it allows a little bit more freedom for it to move. You'll find that it'll end up sounding, can you see that? Yeah. You'll find that it'll end up sounding a little bit better when you mount it off your stand. Now the drawback to this is that if you have a cymbal, obviously you will have a cymbal on that stand, It's going to take you a little bit to sort of get it adjusted to where you want. Drummers are typically picky with their setups. So, you know, it's going to take a little bit of fiddling around to get this and your cymbal positioned where you want. But at the end of the day, your tom will probably end up sounding better. So this resonance issue is eventually what led to the invention of the suspension mount. Companies just figured out that toms sound way better if the mount isn't actually poking inside the shell. So every company has their own little version now of the suspension mount. Anything from mid-level and up, you'll find it on there. So you can see right through it, the mount's on there. The arms got shorter and the mounts themselves had less contact with the shell. Sometimes it's just 2 bolts, sometimes 1, sometimes none. But anyways, that's why your tom sounds like crap when you put it back on the kit. So hopefully these 2 little solutions will help you out.